So hey Evie, how you doing?
Not bad. How are you, brother?
Good. So today we're looking at Ninjak Part One. It's our lead up to the Bloodshot review. This month we're looking at the Valiant comic book universe, the VCU. This was a webisode, and so we're going to review the first half. So I will say that, like you, I never read a Valiant comic book. Well, I've read Bloodshot now, but even when it first came out, the series came out, never had a clue. So when I saw this series, I actually had no idea who these characters were. I had no idea what their powers were. I had no idea. I had nothing. I went into this web series completely blank. So for me, it's like John Wick, where you're world building. Everything you're seeing for the first time.
Right. Yeah.
And so my takeaway was, so I figured I had to pay attention because I had no idea,
Yeah.
who I didn't know anything. So if I was like sleepy or whatever, there's no point watching this because I have to understand who. First of all, I had no idea what a ninjak was. Right? I thought it was like Afro samurai, like an ethnic ninja. Okay, so I had to learn on the fly. I found it really fast paced and it really kept my attention, And I like the story in terms of it. They give you stakes at the beginning of the show. Like there's a kidnapping and that's his motivation. Now, what the reasoning of the motivation really is, it's kind of revealed to you later on. I thought in the action, what reminded me of a web series called Superhero Beatdown,
Oh.
where it's kind of like a cage match between superheroes
Oh. Okay.
and see how they would work with each other. And the special effects and the stunt work and the fighting is very similar to that series. So when I saw this, even though you could tell there's a ceiling in terms of budget and effects,
Mm.
it wasn't like MCU Marvel type level, like Infinity War level of like special effects and fighting sequences. If I look at it in terms of, okay, they give you a set parameters of action and fighting, then it's actually really good. And just look beyond the expense of how much money was put into the final product.
Okay.
So I was looking at terms of like the actors were committed, the fighting was committed, the tone was like they had their humor and they had the action like throughout the whole thing. So in that sense, I really enjoyed it, and for me it was like an introductory into the entire comic books, their
Okay.
staple characters. So what about you? How did you think about the?
Um, I like this. I didn't know anything about Ninjak
Mhm.
before, and there were a lot of people in it. It confused me big time.
Mhm.
There was a lot going on. It was cool, but yeah, it's just that there were too many people in it for
Mhm.
it. For somebody working or like in it for the first time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had to even write down who was who. I just found it confusing.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I'm not saying like that it was bad, but it was just confusing for me.
Okay. Well, since you wrote it down, okay, give us an overview of what we're seeing in the series.
We are seeing in the series this superhero guy or whatever, Ninjak, kidnapping somebody, and there's a suitcase in it. There was just like a whole bunch of things I had to track, and
Right.
I found it very hard.
Okay. So for the first half, well, did you watch it only once, or did you watch it more than once to track properly then?
um, I 1.5 times.
Right.
I just couldn't track it.
Okay.
A
Okay. In
lot.
that case, then this is an easy question. Then, would you after watching this, would you go and read any of the Valiant comic books based on the series? Then was this a good introduction to this universe?
Um, it was okay. I wasn't impressed.
Right.
Just a lot going on. The web is sold. That's all. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh, so then
So
you must be happy it was a very short episode. It was a short series.
yeah, I definitely. It's not bad or anything. I just found it very short and just hard to follow.
Well, what about the action? What do you think about the fight sequences?
Well, the sequences were pretty good actually. A lot going on. You know, it didn't like the fighting was very well choreographed,
Mhm.
right?
How do you like this version of Bloodshot because we know the Vin Diesel character is coming down the road. So
Yeah. I can't wait for Bloodshot like to come, because he's not in it very much, is he?
no,
I didn't find that, so I'm like thinking right in my head, where's Bloodshot? Bring Bloodshot. I
Mhm.
can't take these guys; they're bugging.
Did you think he did a really good this particular version of what Bloodshot? Because he was played to be more aggressive, and not so dim-witted. Like this is a Bloodshot after the whole Project Spirit's taken over his mind and wiped his memory. He's now free from the organization. So this is like a character that's now progressed like years later in the story. So
Yeah.
and he's teamed up. So like looking at now that we know where he goes, his trajectory is in terms of the character. Um, did you like this character portrayal in comparison to like the Vin Diesel movie?
No, I like the Vin Diesel better. Lot more action and CGI and stuff. Sorry, but yeah, I really liked Vin Diesel better as Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. Okay, no, that's interesting. Okay, all right. Because I will say that I like the aggressiveness to this character. He was more darker and brooding,
Okay.
but there was a sense of humor about him that was kind of like dark,
Yeah.
as it's kind of revealed later on. So that was interesting. That's all right. And what? Okay, in that case, what would you rate this web series at the point where we're stopping? Because we're gonna stop. We're stopping at where Ninja gets shot from a cliff. This we want to clarify. So from the beginning of the series to where he gets shot and falls off a cliff.
Action.
Yes, because that's when
Loved
the
it.
action switches gears. So what would you rate this series thus far?
Like 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent movie, lots of action. Makes you want to just like being beast, like following, hard to follow it.
Right.
That was the best, was the kung fu thing. Other than that, like the acting and stuff, wasn't my thing.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm gonna give this an 8. I'll give it a solid 8. And is again, my favorite scene was when he pops his head out of the elevator when everyone puts the guns on him,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Oh,
it goes completely comedic, and they go on the gag of the mustard on the guy's shirt, you know,
right. Yeah.
so quite a bit because it's supposed to be like a very heavy-handed like action sequence, and it does go that way, but they like to put in like just the quirky comedy in the middle of it all. So I like that part of it. The only character who I could not stand is Roku, the villainess in this one, who was monitoring his whole action.
Right. Okay.
Um, it was two things I didn't like about her. Is like whenever she's looking at the screen, and by the way, for those who haven't seen it, he is being like monitored. So basically, they put like nanite sensors in his head,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
she can see whatever he's seeing and hear whatever he's hearing from
Right.
from the monitor. And it doesn't matter where he is on the planet, she can like keep tabs on him. But
Right.
like when she's watching him, she's having almost an erotic like response to him screwing up or having these action sequences,
Yeah. You're right.
and it's sort of like being too smug too, and it's really off. Like once was fine, but whenever it kept going to her, it became a little irritating to see that over and over again.
Mm.
It didn't
Yeah.
seem appropriate. And the other thing was when she came in to check on the hostages, the daughter and the mother.
Yeah.
The first time she goes in, she tells the kid to keep quiet, but then
Yeah.
she provokes the kid and makes her want to cry. Then she walks away, which completely undermines why she came in the first place. So the character was, for me, it was annoying, and it didn't have a clear thought pattern.
Right.
Though if she is psychotic, then she has no transactional thought pattern that actually makes sense.
Right. Right.
But I don't think she's psychotic. She's just a sociopath. Um,
Yeah, I think so. I think she is from the start.
yeah. But though her power is cool, she's like Medusa from the Inhumans, so that's kind of interesting how she has that kind of like her hair can kill you.
Yeah, the hair thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like a Medusa type thing.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was an interesting spin. Because again, I don't know, like you, I don't know anything about the character, so I'm sure she's a prominent villain in the series, and they use that pretty well. And again, like you're saying, the tone is all over the place, like the comedy with with Armstrong and Obadiah, which is the big drunk guy and the small guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a mixed match of like the tone where you have characters that don't really belong together in the same room, really,
Yeah.
and they're trying to coexist. And
Yeah.
and I think that was a point of like I think the Josh Whedon's Avengers movie, where it's like you have these characters who like a Norse god with a tech genius and a guy from the 1940s. These guys should not be in the same room together. They shouldn't even gel. Yet they work out. But in this movie, they really don't belong together.
No,
They have nothing. They don't even try to meet middle ground, and they're just playing to their own audience, each individual characteristic. So, and so that's but for me that was kind of funny. Yet there was no intimacy or interaction between the characters, and if there was, it seemed very stretched in that sense.
True.
All right, and then last but not least, let's get into what we call rent or buy. Would you rent or buy this web series? And I think I know your answer, but like just to hear you say it.
I would neither rent or buy.
Would you recommend? No.
What?
Would you recommend?
No, I would rather. What's the worst thing you could ever do to a person? It was. No, I wouldn't rent or buy it. No. No.
So in other words, so in your question, you'd rather watch paint dry, right? That's your. That was more entertaining to this.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I'm trying not to be mean, but I just found it very hard to watch. Except the special effects.
You should have gave like a really low rating, like a 1 out of 10. Tell us how you really feel. Okay. Well, that's cool.
You know that I didn't even give it a number.
Did you? Okay. What number would you give it?
I didn't even give it a number. I just said I wouldn't watch it.
Okay.
I'd maybe give it a 3.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah. So it's not even worth your time to watch, right? Like it's like but I mean, yeah, you can see the effort in it, but like it wasn't worth your time. Like they tried.
Yeah. To be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with that, I will say thank you, and we'll close off. All right.
Okay.